Hello again. This is our Texas Magazine, the podcast, and we're just, the one thing about doing this podcast is they have wonderful people who know stuff, who know the tentacles. They have tentacles in every part of Texas. And what we got here is we got Emma Rogers. Now, many of you in the North Texas area will certainly know Emma Rogers. Others in Central and South Texas, I'm sure you've been touched by all the things that she has done through her work. First of all, she is a curator of the Dallas Civil Rights Museum, but part of that legacy of being Emma Rogers is that she and Ashura Tosiwe were co-owners of the Black Images Book Bazaar, a groundbreaking. That's how one newspaper identified it. I identified it as, here we go. It is an important legacy of not only Dallas, but also Texas and beyond. So welcome, Emma Rogers.
Well, thank you. So nice to be with you, Jameril, and you're our Texas fans. It's good to be. This is my first podcast. I've never done a podcast.
Well, but you see, you're a natural. You're a natural, okay? Because it's just how you present yourself, but also all the stuff that you have accumulated mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that helps everyone else. So I talked to you and I said, hey, look, you got a list of books that you think will be interesting and are important for more people to know about. And you say, hey, I can do that easily. And then when you said 10, within 10 minutes, you came up with 12. So what I'm wanting you to do is to kind of give us an idea of whether or not you thought of them because they were important historically or because they were more spiritual. What went through? What were some of the things you thought about?
I think they're just important books. Everybody needs to have them in their personal library, his or her library, or whatever. It's something that you need to pass on as part of your legacy to your children. Yes. Everybody on God's planet needs to read Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. The Caste, something of our discontents. You know what? Let me see. I got it down here.
No problem.
The Origins of Our Discontents. Yeah, Caste by Isabel Wilkerson. Okay. And then the 1619 Project by Nicole Hannah Jones. And then the other books that I listed. Oh, and this book right here, How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith. I mean, these are just basic, when I was growing up, we had a dictionary, Bible, and encyclopedias, okay? Well, I know your audience may be younger, and they go online because I'm doing it too. I click online to read my Bible scripture and everything. and the encyclopedia has been replaced by Google and the other places you can go to on the internet. But so therefore, today, I think you should have Caste, the 1619 Project, How the Word is Passed. Oh, and a fiction book that I absolutely love and has so much information is The Personal Librarian.
The Personal Librarian.
Yeah, let me tell you about The Personal. It's a novel.
Yeah.
It's a historical novel, but it's based on fact. And it's about Belle DaCosta Green. She was the personal librarian of J.P. Morgan. Wow. And he collected manuscripts, rare books and everything. And so she put his library in order. However, she went out and made acquisitions. And this is in the early 1900s in a world in which there are white booksellers. Yes. So she did this. She traveled the world making acquisitions. And Victoria Christopher Murray and Marie Benedict are the authors of this book.
Yeah.
Her dad was the first Black person to graduate from Harvard College. That is what is so amazing. And then he went on to become a diplomat. He was fighting for racial justice. Would you believe that in the 1800s? Well, hello. We're still fighting for that today. But anyway, but her parents separated. When they separated, mother had them to pass for white. And they said they had Portuguese ancestry so that when people looked at them, they would see the dark hue in their white skin.
Yeah.
But she was just, it's just so much about that book that you learn, for example, the thing that we all know, Woodrow Wilson was the president of Princeton, and he didn't admit any blacks. However, Harvard and all of the other Ivy League schools did. And just kind of historical information you're glad to become acquainted with.
Yes, yes. Now, I was unaware of the former president of the United States being the president of Princeton, but the fact that he held those views and didn't change when he became president is noteworthy. But that's not the point of the book. The point of the book is how this woman was able to maneuver in life and gather so much information and to be that important, not just to that wealthy family, but to have accumulated all of these other documents, which makes her acquisition so much more important, not just to him, but to America.
Well, she leaves a wonderful legacy. And in fact, in 2024, there is going to be there's going to be an exhibition opening, Belle DaCosta Green exhibition opening in the fall of 2024 to mark the centennial of its life as a public institution, because at first it was private. Yes. And then part of her being ahead of this is that she had exhibitions, she had lectures, she did everything that's associated with the museum before they were really actually open with the public. So she was able to collaborate with other institutions and organizations in the city and around the country to host these particular exhibitions.
Was there something that you recall from the book that kind of struck you as it was either noteworthy or what she did, some particular thing in her life, what she may have been thinking about, some of the things she did, what she thought about her father going through, being the graduate and all that kind of, was there something that kind of sticks out with you that was so
Well, actually, her father's name was Greener. And so her mother took off the Greener so that they became Green. And she changed her middle name. Her name she was born Belle Marie Greener. So she changed it to Belle DaCosta Green just to have a more flair to it.
Yes, yes.
And when she became hired by J.P. Morgan, she brought her assistant with her. And I thought that was great. But the things that she had to do to navigate the world of passing for white. Yeah. And then she was at a reception or a dinner or something, and the wait staff was black. And they recognized, and they just kept it on the down low. They didn't out her or anything, but just the kind of tension that you have to go through. But her mother trained her well. And the other thing is, this is what we read in the book. We did not find out she was black. How they found out she was black was that, not in the book, I mean later in life, someone had moved into a house. Well, they're moving out of their house, and they went up in the attic and they discovered all these papers. And this was one from one of her lovers. Yeah. Great admirers. And he said, these are part of the box of paper. He thought these were important, and he took them to the library. And then the librarians uncovered them. And that's how we found out she was black. I mean, we're talking about years later.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I just think that her dad's name was Richard Theodore Greener.
Okay. Greener.
But I just think that's and then he was going to the South working on racial justice issues. Hello, Mr. Greener, in the 1870s. This is 2021, and hello, we're still doing this.
We're still doing it. How about one of the other books that you mentioned? I can't remember the name of it.
Okay, Caste.
Yeah.
Caste, the origins of our discontent.
Okay.
Isabel, and this is not, and I love fiction, but I like so many nonfiction books this year. She deals with the whole thing about when we're born, bam, you automatically know we're black, okay?
Yes.
And we often talk about caste in terms of those in East India, but we really have a caste system here as well, all over the world. And in her book, what she pointed out was that Hitler sent people over here to the United States in the early 30s to study our segregation and how our country degraded and subjugated blacks. They came here to study us, America, so that they could do that with the Jews over there.
Wow.
And then the other thing she pointed out, the incident in Austin where this man was going to take his son to school and they went to the door and a bomb went off. Okay. This is a black neighborhood, did it? And then they went to, then the bomb went off in another man's neighborhood. The police just thought it was gang related or what have you.
Oh yeah.
But when it went off in the white neighborhood, they got serious about it. So just Cass shows how our American system has a two-tier system.
Yes.
You have the whites and you have the blacks and you have, other people, but it's a two-tier system.
Yes, yes, yes.
And she just points out a lot of things, and I highly recommend Cass. Let me see, what else did I have for you? Oh, let me give you a fiction, Deacon King Kong, by James McBride.
Yes, what is that?
Okay, well, his first book was The Color of Water. A black man writes about his white mother, and his mother was very, very, like our mama's, just great. But anyway, Deacon King Kong is about this community, this neighborhood, and they have a lot of dynamics going on that you think of in black neighborhoods, and they go to church and what have you. And so there's some money buried in a wall there that the Italians have put over there. So you see the dynamics going on there. But the funny scene in this book is the funeral scene. All right. And I've been to funerals. My husband has been to funerals where it's quite unique, the dynamics that go in a funeral. Like, sure. So that was one thing in Deacon King County. It's just really, he's just such a good writer. Oh my God, I wish I didn't have to bring the book over here. And then let's see, what else did I tell you about? Okay, now one book that we read is called, let me go to the 1619 Project.
Okay.
By Nicole Hannah-Jones. And in August of 2019, that was the 400th anniversary of Africans being noted as being brought to this country, brought to this colony, because it wasn't a country at the time, in 1619. So the New York Times, she did this piece, this whole magazine in the New York Times was devoted to this 1619, a lot of essays in it. So since then, they have broadened it and they've made it a whole book, the 1619 Project. There are essays in there, there's poetry in there. There are a lot of contributors. And I like to tell, if you don't mind, I like to tell people to whet their appetite. Just Google her and see some of the interviews she's had on YouTube or some podcasts she's been on. Just whet your appetite. And it's a pretty, it's a pretty big book. And then another book that I really like that we did this year. These are some of the books that we did in the book club this year. Uh-huh. That's why I was able to just rattle them all so easily.
Now, give us, while you're looking, what's the name of the book club?
Oh, it's called Generations Book Club. And I have been facilitating this book club since 2008 for Methodist Charlton. Uh-huh. So when COVID-19, when we got locked down in March of 2020, it was like 3 days before we met. And we have been meeting on Zoom since 2020, March of 2020. But we met in person at Methodist Charlton. Okay. But the good thing about being on Zoom, we have some members like a retired librarian in Mesquite who's on. We have people who join us from Seattle, just depending on what book we're doing. So that has, that's a good thing about being on Zoom. But the book Leave the World Behind by Rahman Alman. Now this book is about, since we're all in COVID, and I don't know about you, but some of us were caught unawares. We weren't prepared for being locked down.
Absolutely.
And I can recall going to the grocery store, buying too many groceries that I finally had to feed to the environment because they were biodegradable. Yes. So, but at any rate, I have another analogy that I use, but I won't use it today. Anyway, I was caught unprepared. So now I'm harvesting water we don't have a dog, but we have a dog run of the house.
Yes.
And so over there, the water that I get my detergent in, the big bottles of detergent or bleach or vinegar or whatever, that is all on the dog run. So if we have any situations this year where we won't have access to water,
Yes.
I will be prepared, because a lot of people were without water for several days in the state of Texas.
Yeah, that's right. Especially come the freeze.
Right, right. So, but this book is called Leave the World Behind. And it's set in a suburb of New York. And so this white couple rents this home. It's an Airbnb. They're using it as an Airbnb. It's very lovely.
Yeah.
But then there's a storm that happens in New York, and everybody's getting out of the city. Something is happening with their grid.
Yeah.
And so the couple that owns the house come there. And so they don't know if the white couple that's renting it don't know who these people are. But anyway, it's just an interesting dynamic of being prepared. So one question I asked my group, are you prepared? I mean, do you have batteries?
Yes.
Do you have stocked up on things you like? Like I got to have elastic dill pickle relish. And then I'm pretty good otherwise, but are you stocked up on the things that you think you need?
Mine has been, get this, turtles and sweet pickles.
Oh my God. And look, my husband loves turtles, and somebody gave me turtles for Christmas. And so I'm a dill pickle relish woman.
Yes.
So I've got my dill pickle relish and my Hellman mayonnaise. My mother always used Hellman's mayonnaise when she would shampoo her hair and condition it. Yeah. Hellman's and eggs. So I got my Hellman's and my dill pickle relish. So I'm good. I can take other second grade products. I can digress and use those products I wouldn't normally use.
The number two products become kind of important. I got
you. Yeah. So, but this book really makes you take stock of yourself and what are you prepared? Are you prepared for an emergency? It could be anything, but are you prepared?
Yeah.
And the need to get prepared for it.
Do you, just a moment of reflection, do you think more of us who are past 50 are more prepared than those who are under 50?
Well, I really think it depends on where you grew up. If you grew up in the country,
yeah,
where you did not have services, and there's some communities that don't have services. Yeah. I grew up on the southwest side of Houston, and we had an electric pump, and our electricity and water supply would go out sometimes. Well, most of our electricity. And so we had those Coleman lanterns. So, it just depends on where you grew up, So I don't think it's an age thing. I think it's where you grew up kind of thing. And then if you were a Girl Scout or Boy Scout and you went camping.
Yeah.
Or if you're a camper now, if you go hiking. So these are all factors. Depends on your lifestyle and what you've been exposed to.
I got you. I know that I would talk to my son or my nephew, because they're close in age. I would talk to them about the time that I went scouting, I went camping and that sort of thing. And they would, they did a little bit of that, but not a lot. But they always looked at me with eyes of wonder, like, why did you do stuff like that? Or why would you ever think about doing stuff like that? And I always think of it fondly. It was always fun. It was always a wonderful thing. So I understand about the preparation. I understand.
Right, and sometimes we have problems with our electrical grid, period, in our neighborhood. And I can remember one time when Candace was in high school and she was doing homework, and it was in April, and it was one of those Dallas storms, and the electricity went out, and I just lit the candles,
And she was ready to call it quits.
Right. So, yeah.
Okay, give us one more.
Okay, The Vanishing Half. This book is about twins. And again, we have the same thing. One goes off. They set in Louisiana. One goes off to California, what have you. Yeah. And the other one stays. And they're fair skinned, but she's a stereotypical light-skinned person that you think of who has to marry the blackest man,
Yeah.
And then the other sister goes off and she marries somebody outside of their race.
Yes.
So then somehow their past kind of come back together because one of the daughters is an actress, and then she sees somebody on stage, or they see her, and the resemblance is just too awesome. We've got to be related. So it's another interesting read.
Okay.
And we're dealing with this, whole color kind of thing, passing and what have you.
Sure. Do you find that writers today are better equipped to deliver more fuller characters who are women than previous writers?
No, I think that. Oh, you mean a male character delivered being a fuller character of a woman?
Well, either male or female.
You know what? Good writers get it right. I think about Toni Morrison, my favorite, of course.
Well, of course, but I mean, here's a problem that I've often encountered.
Okay.
Sometimes writers today aren't writing about women like writers used to write about women, and I ain't talking about white women, just us. So sometimes they lean too much with the Jezebel. Sometimes they lean too much on the martyr, and not give us the kind of woman that you could meet ordinarily. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but I'm just saying.
I understand. I fully understand what you're saying, but all the writers that I've read before kind of covered the bell-shaped curve. You had your martyr and you had your Jezebel, but you had a whole lot of other people in the middle.
Yes.
So, and like I said, real good writers just get it right. They just get it right. That's just a short and a long. They do their research well.
Okay.
They're thoroughly researched, and of course, the good thing about it is that they have the internet, so that helps them with their research. And then, of course, they travel to different locales. But I don't know how that's happening in the age of
sure.
But still, I mean, the internet gives you so much information. At least it whets your appetite, and then you can follow up with a phone call or a text or an email to someone who's in that locale to help validate what you think, to make it right.
Yeah. What Texas writer have you really appreciated and more people need to read them?
Evelyn Palfrey. Evelyn Palfrey is a retired judge in Austin, and she wrote what she would call for the marvelously mature. And one book I really like was The Price of Passion. And the character was gone out to run for an election, and in the process, he had a relationship, an affair on the side, and then he comes home and brings the baby home. And then his wife raised the baby just like it was her. But in my family, my Aunt Bert did that. My Uncle Floyd went out and had a little young thing, had an affair with a little young thing. She had a baby. Yeah. And the little young thing said, "Oh, I don't want any of this." She brought Charles home to Aunt Bertha, and you would have sworn Aunt Bertha went through 9 months of pregnancy and everything. She raised Charles just like he was home. So, her books are very realistic. Yes. And then one other Texas writer who is new is Marsha Williams Cromer, and she's written The Rancher in Stilettos. Okay. And full disclosure, she is my cousin. Okay. Full disclosure.
We know good cousins.
Okay. But she's written this book called The Rancher in Stilettos, and the thing is they have this group. She's from Huntsville, Texas, and they've been friends since kindergarten. Okay, they all are in their 60s now, but I know these characters. When I'm reading the book, I can just hear them talk. But in one of the characters, they want to set up a boutique, and they set up one in France. Yes. And then her boyfriend sends for her because it's when Black Lives Matter is happening. Remember in 2020, and everybody around the world is doing something. So her boyfriend sends the plane for her to get her. And in real life, my cousin's boyfriend did send the plane, not to Paris. But let me tell you about this girl. Let me just digress. Her man sent the plane for her to go wherever they go. This girl hadn't flown commercial airline, and I don't know what. But anyway, so this really does happen, ladies. Okay, it's not anything far-fetched. So I know these characters. I know these people. And it's just really good and entertaining. If you want to escape or what have you. But I recommend that. So Evelyn Palfrey, who is the seasoned writer, and Marsha Williams Cromer, who is the new writer.
Okay.
Oh, but let me tell you something about her book. She has a beverage in there
What?
A bourbon drink in there. She has the recipe for a bourbon drink in there, and it's you've heard of Uncle Festus, I think that's his name, Jack Daniels. He's really the one who gave Jack Daniels
Absolutely
the recipe. Well, she has that in there, and Jack Daniels has reached out to her to do, some marketing and what have you. But, that's a historical fact that we didn't know about, and that's what I like about really good fiction writers.
Yes.
They write out fiction. They change the names of the characters and what have you, but it's a lot of fact, and that's what I think that really sells their work, is because you can relate to it. You know about this Jack Daniels situation where Uncle Festus didn't get the credit for it. I don't think, is that his name, Uncle Festus? But anyway, you know who I'm talking about.
I do. Of course, you may be old enough to remember a distillery from the 70s called Soul Brothers Scotch.
No. It's Uncle Nearest, Nearest. Pardon me, I was calling it, but it's Uncle Nearest.
Uncle Nearest, okay.
Uncle Nearest is who Jack Daniels got their recipe from. Okay.
Okay. Well, the only reason why I brought up the other is that there were ads periodically in Ebony and some others that talked about Soul Brothers Scotch.
I missed that because I'm a bourbon girl.
Okay, well, enough said. I got it. All right. But I don't want to leave our talk without you talking more about a wonderful approach to your 55th anniversary. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, well, my husband and I met at Texas Southern University in Houston, and we met in German 333. He was the first person there, and I was the second person there because I had never had a class in that part of the university. It was unbeknownst to me. And so we became acquainted, and we left during that time, the semester did not end with Christmas vacation, but when it ended, I said, oh, this man's going to be my husband. So
I've heard women say that so often. This man is going to be my husband. Go ahead.
Right. But my girlfriend's, my daughter's godmother's mother got me straight. She said, he just laid and let you do all the work. He wanted to be your husband. So I thought I was all bad like that, going after my man. But anyway, we've been married for 55 years. We got married on November 12th, 1966, and we just celebrated and the 55th anniversary is called the Emerald Anniversary.
Emerald, yeah. Okay.
And so in honor of our anniversary, we wanted to have people to make donations to Texas Southern University, a scholarship fund that our Dallas chapter of Texas Southern started in honor of Curtis Dean McCowan. She was the first female mayor of DeSoto. She was also on the Texas Southern Board of Regents, and she was just so supportive of us. So in honor of our 55th, and in memory of her, we ask that you make a donation to the Texas Southern Curtis D. McCowan Endowment Scholarship Fund.
Yes, they have donated money, and then you're asking for people to match it.
Right, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, Texas Southern gave our chapter $10,000, and we're this is a way to help us make it. We've had donations, but I think we're getting closer, and our anniversary has helped to do that. So we're very proud of that.
Okay, so how can they make donations?
Okay, there is a website, Texas Southern, and I'm totally unprepared.
No, maybe we can put it at the end of
yeah, because I think I sent you the email. It's a long email address, but we hope that you will be so inclined in this season of giving. And listen, if you're not, it's the end of the year, and I know that you went through Christmas and you had to give everybody a gift. Your funds may be running low, but guess what? You can do it in 2022.
In the spirit of Kwanzaa or whatever other spirit moves you.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Last question. When are you going to write your book, your novel, whether fiction, it doesn't matter, nonfiction?
Well, I walk 4 miles 7 days a week.
Yes.
And my accountability partner travels all the time. She just got back she went to on a 30-day cruise, 27-day cruise actually. Then she came back, she went on a 6-day cruise, and then on the 5th I'm taken to the airport to go on another cruise. But I've got an idea, a mystery idea about a heist and an island. And the thing is you know, they can't dock in a lot of ports because of COVID, but my group are going to scuba dive and go there and make the heist anyway. And then my accomplices are on board, and they are going to go fluff up the room to make like they're on board. So I'm working on it. I got it in my head. When it's going to get on paper, God only knows.
Well, how about this? This will not be our last chat. So if we have to talk later about how you've got the first galley, right, then that's fine with me, okay?
Okay.
All right. Emma Rogers, it has always been a joy. Whenever I've seen your face, it has always been a joy to see you and to talk to you. So again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. It's Kwanzaa spirit. It's Wednesday. I forget which principle it is. Ujamaa. So I'm wanting you to know you made the last episode of Our Texas for this year a wonderful one. Thank you so very much, and we'll talk again.
All right. Thank you so much for inviting me. Glad to be here, and Happy New Year to you and to those.